Zodiac signs that are able to sense their death. Have you ever wondered if it is possible to sense your own end before it comes? There are people who are given this terrible and at the same time sacred gift, to sense the moment of departure. Their consciousness picks up invisible signals, their soul subtly senses what is inaccessible to others. This is not a fantasy or a figment of the imagination, but a special ability found only in some zodiac signs. Today you will learn which signs are able to sense the breath of the end in advance, and why their fate carries this dramatic key. This knowledge is frightening, but it contains deep power, understanding life through the awareness of its fragility. Watch this video to the end to find out if your sign is one of those who are able to look beyond the edge. Subscribe to the channel if you want to receive the most powerful and truthful esoteric revelations. And write in the comments, do you believe that a person can sense his own death? Let's begin to reveal the secret of those whose connection with the invisible world is stronger than others. The first sign is Aquarius. The most frightening thing about Aquarius is his ability to feel the time that has not yet come. He can suddenly feel cold on his skin when there is no draft or wind nearby. He can hear silence that seems to cut off all sounds around. These signals are not explained by logic, but they are the warning that an invisible line is approaching. Aquarius does not look for such moments, but his body and mind react on their own. He catches changes in space, notices pauses in the usual rhythms of life, and this is where his ability to understand in advance that the end is approaching is hidden. He is distinguished by keen observation. Aquarius is able to catch even the slightest changes in his own habits, mood or perception of the world. When internal energy begins to fade, he feels it more strongly than anyone else. For him, this is not an abstract premonition, but almost physical knowledge. He becomes detached, avoids unnecessary conversations, as if preparing himself for silence. It seems to others that he is simply immersed in thought, but in fact, Aquarius already knows that his time is becoming limited. At turning points, his premonitions intensify with incredible accuracy. He can refuse a trip, a meeting, or even a casual conversation in advance, explaining this with vague anxiety. And more often than not, it is this anxiety that turns out to be a true sign. Aquarius perceives death not as a tragedy, but as an event that is built into the general order of things. Therefore, his premonitions are not accompanied by panic, rather by clarity that can shock others. This is especially evident when his attention clings to details. A clock that suddenly stops, birds gathered too close, or an unusual feeling that a familiar place no longer belongs to him. These signs are accidents for others, but Aquarius reads them as warnings. And it is thanks to this ability that he is able to prepare for departure in advance. When the time comes, he feels it like an internal ringing, not loud, but insistent. It's as if the world is telling him that it's time to finish what he started. And although he doesn't share it openly, his actions become consistently meaningful. He puts things in order, leaves clear messages, as if he knows that others will soon need them. This clarity makes his premonitions especially eerie, because there is no room for doubt in them. Aquarius does not fantasize, he just knows. The second sign is Sagittarius. Sagittarius is one of the few who are able to feel the approach of their own death not through quiet signs, but through an internal blow, as if something is breaking inside and requires attention. His premonitions are always bright, specific and alarming. He can suddenly wake up in the middle of the night with the feeling that time has ceased to be his ally. At such moments, he becomes unusually collected, as if the whole body switches to the mode of waiting for the inevitable. This feeling is impossible to ignore. The heart reacts with an increased rhythm, thoughts become direct, devoid of illusions, and actions acquire sharpness. The peculiarity of Sagittarius is that his premonition is always associated with action. He does not withdraw into himself, does not hide and does not fall silent. On the contrary, he begins to hurry to live. He completes projects, calls those whom he has not written to for a long time, does things that he has postponed for years. From the outside, this looks like a surge of activity, But in fact, this is preparation for the finale. It is as if he is being pushed by an invisible force. Time is short, and he must make it. His body also reacts to these signs. There are sharp changes in energy, sudden attacks of fatigue, changes in the sense of space. Sagittarius can feel that familiar places no longer accept him, that people look at him differently, that the air is becoming denser. These little things come together to form a single pattern, and it is in this pattern that he reads the approach of the end. Unlike other signs, he perceives death not as silence, but as an enemy that he will have to face. The most severe manifestations of his premonitions occur when he finds himself in risky situations. Sagittarius can refuse a trip, cancel a meeting, or not go out on the road because he senses that there will be danger. Sometimes his warnings are so accurate that they shock others. People think it is a coincidence, but he knows, the body and mind could not be wrong. His instincts are extremely sharp, and they become his main shield. Sagittarius is not afraid to say out loud what he feels. He can say directly, "I think these are my last days." And more often than not, he is right. This directness scares those close to him, but for him it is a way to free himself from the pressure of inner knowledge. His premonition does not hide behind hints. The third sign is Virgo. A cold feeling that time is not infinite manifests itself in Virgo at moments when others do not even think about the boundaries of their existence. This sign has a special perception of the body, its subtle changes, and any shadow of a malfunction is perceived as an alarm signal. Virgo can sense an approaching turning point in advance. Her analytical mind does not allow her to ignore the body's hints. Increased attention to details that seem trifles to others becomes a tool for survival. Minor fluctuations in breathing, changes in pulse, sharp bursts of internal anxiety, all this is perceived not as an accident, but as a warning. In this sign, internal control is always present, like a built-in defense mechanism. Virgo feels that something is starting to break in the usual rhythm. She tends to compare facts, notice patterns, connect events into a single picture. And when this picture comes together in an alarming pattern, the premonition becomes so obvious that it is no longer possible to turn away. The peculiarity of Virgo is that it is not pure intuition, but precise analysis taken to the limit. She sees how life builds a chain of signs, and if this chain leads to danger, the inner voice sounds unmistakably. Moments of insight are especially difficult for Virgo, because they come not in the form of vague guesses, but as a clear understanding. A turning point is coming. And the closer this moment, the stronger the tension. It is as if a spring is compressed inside, and the whole body reacts to the inevitability. Virgo knows how to prepare, knows how to accept, but fear does not go away completely. This knowledge turns into a heavy burden, because it makes Virgo a person who can rarely afford to be carefree. The strength of this sign is in the ability to accept the obvious. Where others are looking for excuses, Virgo recognizes the truth and acts. That is why her sense of her own mortality does not destroy her, but on the contrary, makes her more determined. She can stop doubting and act as if every day could be her last. There is a special, harsh wisdom in this. To live with a clear understanding that nothing lasts forever, and that is why every moment is valuable. The stronger the premonition, the more distinct the desire to fill life with specifics, to complete the unfinished, to leave a mark. The fourth sign is Cancer. Cancer has a rare ability to catch the silence that precedes serious events. For him, life never sounds like a background sound, he constantly listens to its nuances. When danger looms, the very vibration of the space around him changes, and Cancer feels it with every cell. His emotional sensitivity works like an antenna, catching signals that are invisible to others. The slightest discomfort in the house, strange dreams, sudden anxiety without reason, all this is not an accident for him, but warnings that are woven into a single stream. This perception makes Cancer extremely vulnerable, but at the same time prepared for the inevitable. He does not ignore internal fluctuations, on the contrary, he takes them seriously, even if he cannot explain them in words. This connection with his own feelings helps him notice what is hidden beyond the rational. In other signs, anxiety can dissolve, but in Cancer it grows to such a strength that it turns into a clear understanding. Something important is happening. This is especially evident through emotional outbursts. Cancer can suddenly feel melancholy that has no external cause, or feel heaviness, as if someone's hand is on the shoulder. For him, these are not empty emotions, but signs of approaching changes. This feature makes Cancer a person who is able to predict the moments when the lifeline begins to bend threateningly. In this case, internal fear does not paralyze, but on the contrary, pushes him to action. He strives to surround loved ones with care, tries to complete tasks that have been postponed. His strength is that he uses anxious premonitions as an incentive to concentrate. At such moments, Cancer becomes collected, clear and decisive. Everything superficial fades into the background, and only what is truly important remains. When the sign feels the approach of a critical moment, his behavior changes radically. He becomes silent, withdraws into himself, trying to hear his inner voice even more clearly. For others, this may seem strange, but for him it is a way to concentrate. He seems to check every little thing, every breath, every gesture, as if the world around him can tell him what will happen next. The most impressive thing is how accurately Cancer